Good morning, StarCraft fans. We are back and we're going into the first day of the round of 8. As you can see, once again, it's going to be a Terran versus Protoss. It's going to be Barracks facing off versus Snow. I'm solo today, but I've been looking forward to this match. One, because it has my favorite Protoss in Snow, but also because we're finally getting to see not necessarily a newcomer, make a big run. But Barracks, he's been consistently a round of 16, round of 24 type of tournament player. And he's going to have a big run here. Round of 8, it's his first time ever making it into the round of 8 for the ASL. I think in the StarCastTV Star League, he's done it twice, maybe. But either way, he's really turned it on this season. He's also got really high APM. He's really quick, but he's a different kind of quick than Speed. We saw Speed completely out multitask Snow last week. But Barracks, he's really fast and has big time macro, really fast pushing power, doesn't really rely on the mine usage like Sharp and Speed does. So I think this is going to be a good match, or I'm hoping it's going to be a good match. Snow was kind of exposed against Speed last week. As I was saying, Speed was just crazy with the multitasking. Snow's well known for his defense, and he kind of got picked apart by vultures. So I wonder if Barracks will be able to harass him like Speed did. But I think, this is just my opinion, is I think Snow probably realized that it was way too close against Speed. And I think he probably went into the hyperbolic time chamber for the past week to make sure that he's up to par for this match. We're getting a look at our round of 8 matches. I think everybody's probably in agreement. Match 2, which is tomorrow, is the match of the tournament. You could have seen this in the finals. Sulky versus Light. I know people have been saying Sulky's been killing it in the past few months, which without a doubt he has. It's like a 70% win rate. However, within the past few weeks, Sulky and Light have done a lot of sponsored games, and it was pretty close, like 50-50. I think one of the series was a best of 9. Light was up 5-1, right? So he technically won the series at that point, but it ended up being 5-4 at the very end. And then Rush versus Rain. That's going to be an interesting one. Rain, he played, I think, pretty well in his round of 16, but will he be up to par to face off versus Rush? We know that historically Rain's TVP has been pretty weak. And then the last one, Hero versus Sharp, it's going to be a rematch from the round of 8 last season. It looks like we're going to have some graphics for Barracks and Snow, so I'll just mute for now, even though there's not any sound anyways. Yeah, so now we're going to be going into player interviews, of course. And one of those graphics at the very end, the 9-0, that was one of those best of nines. Not technically best of 9 because they play all 9, but that was a 9-0 against Barracks for Snow. I think he's done that twice, actually, versus Barracks. So historically, Snow is very favored in this matchup, but we saw Snow kind of get picked apart by Speed. We've seen a lot of the Protoss players actually falling to Barracks, specifically gasless timing builds. In fact, last season we saw, I think it was Rain get obliterated by Barracks. We saw Bisu get obliterated by Barracks on Deja Vu a couple weeks ago. I think the key for Barracks here is he somehow needs to not get his build disrupted. Somehow needs to get some gasless expands going in his favor. The problem is, is I think that Snow probably recognizes that Barracks is, heavily reliant on the gasless expand, heavily reliant on big time econ so he can make the pushes work. And because of that, just going out on a limb myself, I think Snow probably has prepared a lot of aggressive builds like forward gate. I would not be surprised to see if he's also prepared so for example, Radeon, we saw Barracks play gasless expand last season. We saw him play gasless expand this season. I think Radeon is a map where we could definitely see Snow scout somewhat quickly. If he sees that it's gasless, then go for Proxy Robo, and I think just try and kill Barracks with that. One thing I do want to mention is that the maps were already set, even though I don't think we've seen the graphic yet. Barracks got the first 3 picks, or sorry, the odd picks, and Snow got the even picks. And I think the order is like Deja Vu first, Minstrel for Snow, then Pantheon for Barracks, Dominator, then Radeon, then Kickback, and Monty Hall. And I want to mention this because Pantheon, compared to Radeon and Kickback, for example, big maps, really huge maps. So in that sense, I could see Barracks getting away with a gasless expand there. And also I know on that map, the center is buildable. So we could see some aggression there. But at the same time, in my own experience, I've had better success on Radeon and Kickback if I'm doing pushes, which I think Barracks excels at. And it's kind of hard to push onto those ramps in the center of the map. They buy a lot of time. We know Snow's going to go Reaver. I mean, that's just 100% going to happen. So I'm kind of questioning the Pantheon pick. But overall, I think the way the map order has gone, it really has gone pretty in favor of Barracks. He's also gotten Monty Hall last. I think most of the groups have picked Monty Hall last. So we're probably not going to get there. I mean, I hope we do, but I have a feeling that it's not going to be like a 4-3. Well, hopefully this interview is not going to go very long since I am solo. It's going to be hard to fill in time. When we saw Barracks versus Bisu last week, I was actually kind of surprised with how many units Barracks had. It really did. I saw some comments, saying like, "Is this Flash?" And I remember Barracks mentioning in the interview that he had gotten some help from a lot of Terrans. I don't think he specifically mentioned Flash, but I remember last season he specifically did, and it was true. The macro really looked like it was on point. I think if he can, like I said, get away with the gasless, go for a 6-fact or 7-fact, people have talked about how those types of builds can overrun the low gateway count, just Reaver defense that players like Snow like to do. What I'm hoping to see from Snow, though, is better defense versus the Vulture play. There were a couple times where he got caught, where he didn't build the pylon in time at his natural. Sometimes the goons were out of position. But I also don't want to see the quadruple tech that he did on Radeon versus Speed. What was it? Reaver opener into DT drop into Arbiter into Carrier. And I think he even got Storm. So actually quintuple tech. I don't think that's a win condition versus Barracks. I think the win condition here is actually Gateway Man with Storm, Gateway Man plus Reavers. Just survive the first couple pushes, and then once you survive, then either go Arbiter or Carriers. Definitely don't need the DT drop. I think consistently Terran players have gone for fast academies versus gasless, and or with gasless, and I think for sure we're going to see a lot of that today. So no DT drop, hopefully for me. And I guess the question is, what other builds has Barracks prepared? Because even I know that there's going to be a lot of gasless play, so maybe it's time to try and go like Starport. Try and get some drop damage. But versus a guy who's just so defensive like Snow is, I feel like that's going to be really hard to make work. Maybe try and hide a base could be a good strategy for for Barracks, we've seen players like Flash, in previous ASLs actually hide bases versus Snow. Snow doesn't have the best usage of observers to scout for bases, so maybe he could get away with that. I think didn't we see also a 2-fact? Maybe that was speed. Well, either way, looks like interview is done, and we'll be going into the games pretty soon. So here we do have a rundown of the maps, just like I was saying. Deja Vu, Minstrel, Pantheon, Dominator, Radion, Kickback, and Monty Hall. I think if Snow can get off to a good start with Deja Vu, get a victory there, I think Minstrel is going to be a tough map for Terran. I just don't see how... Okay, well, actually, I take that back. Because since this is specifically Barracks, and I don't see him play for, Mega Late Game that often, you're not necessarily going to have to worry about the pathing there. So this could be a decent map for Barracks. Also, he's going to be pushing across the bridges with, some terrain towards the sides where he can, put tanks there and not get hit back. So that could be a good map. But let's assume that Deja Vu gets won by Snow, and let's assume he wins his own map. Like I said, I think Pantheon is kind of the worst map out of the Radion and Kickback remaining. So I think it's pretty reliant on Barracks getting a win here on Deja Vu. Otherwise, he could be in trouble. We're getting a look at the last few seasons for Barracks. As I mentioned, this is the first time he's made it into the round of 8, so it's a massive improvement from him. You can see pretty much he's round of 16, round of 24. In fact, in season 16, he didn't even qualify for ASL. So that tells you how hard the tournaments are in general and how much of an improvement this is compared to the past few seasons. How did he get here, though? In the round of 8, he took down Rain. In the... Oh, sorry, not the round of 8. Round of 24, he took down... Is that Rain? Yeah, I think it's Rain and Queen. Then he beat Hero and Bisu. I'm not sure exactly what the stars mean. Kind of weird to see, them, a couple of them lit up and then a couple of them not lit up when he won 2-0 specifically over Bisu. I really don't understand that. And now we're looking at... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay, this is match history. So, versus Rain, win, Bisu, loss. Rain, he won. Mini, he won. Mini, he lost twice against. And then beat Rain and Bisu in the round of 16 for season 24. So, in the past 10 games versus Protoss, high win rate, 7-3. That's pretty damn good. Now looking at Snow, we can see in Season 5, he beat Flash 3-2. Season 8, he beat Last 3-0. Lost versus Soma 0-3 and Hero 1-3. And then also Hero again 0-3. Then beat Bisu 3-0 in Season 17. Season 8, however, even though he beat Flash 3-2 in Season 5, ended up losing to Flash 4-0 in the finals. And then in the round of 4 last season, we all know that he lost to Sulky 2-4. Those were some crazy games. And once again, Snow has been put onto the same side of the bracket as Sulky. So we could see them face off once again in the round of 24. Looking at the past 10 games for Snow, he lost versus Royal and Light, won versus Speed, lost versus Sharp, then beat Sharp twice, lost versus Speed, won versus Speed, lost versus Speed, and then won versus Speed. So that's how he's gotten here into the round of 8, basically just taking down Speed. It's always feels bad when you look at the stats and you see that Speed, for example, won twice and lost twice, yet he's not able to, go to some type of decider match to make it through. I had the same experience at WCG versus G5. I think I lost 2-1, then I won 2-0, and then I lost 2-1. So the overall score was 4-4, but because they were best of 3 series, I ended up, being eliminated. Now we're looking at the stats for Barracks. His best matchup versus Protoss, not a surprise because of how well he's been playing lately with his timings. Versus Terran, kind of lacking. Versus Zerg, decent. Luckily for him, well, actually, it's not really lucky for him, because if he was to manage to get out of this particular match, his opponent would either be Light or Sulky, and you don't want to be facing off versus Light. This guy's just amazing, and of course, you don't want to be facing off versus Sulky, who's stone cold killer these days. And now we're getting a look at Snow's stats. You can see that his versus Protoss win rate is crazy. We're almost reaching Rain levels of status up there. 70% win rate versus Terran, 57%, and then 39% versus Zerg. A lot of Protoss players struggle versus Zerg, but you know, surprisingly, certain ones do pretty well. So, for example, Best, I think is his best matchup, but everybody thinks of Best as being like a Protoss versus Terran specialist. But for whatever reason, Protoss versus Zerg is the bane of Snow's existence, which I find weird, because I had been watching a lot of Snow in anticipation of casting him in the StarCastTV Star League, and a lot of the games that I saw of him in PvZ, he ended up winning. A lot of the games were super epic. Like I remember seeing like a couple 50-minute long games on Retro, for example, really low probe counts, but he just had such a devastating army that Zerg could never kill him. So it will be interesting to see how he plays versus Sulky if he's to make it out. But we are ready with game 1, so let's get into Deja Vu. Okay, so in the bottom left, we do have Barracks, and in the top left, we do have Snow. So, as I was saying, I really do think the chances of Gasless being on maps like this is extremely high. I don't think there's really any downside to going forward gate. I don't think you can, like, you can obviously wall in your main base, but I don't think I've really ever seen anybody do that at the pro level. Of course, they always put their racks near the ramp, but it's never like a full wall. So I really do think forward gate, forward gate, forward gate is the way to play in this series. But so far, it's just going to be a pylon in the main. And Barracks, I'm sure it's just going to be depot in the main right there. Yes, of course. Overall stats for this map is 2-0, Terran versus Protoss. I mean, that's not very many games played. I don't think that really means very much. Now, another thing Snow could do is 12 Nexus. Alright. He's just going to play normal. So I guess the question at this point is will he build any Zealots for any Zealot pressure? I really don't think he's going to. This gateway is way too far back. It would take so much time to get across the map. And, okay, Barracks is actually going to 11-11 here, so it's going to be a mix-up. I really thought that this was going to be a good gasless map, but instead he's going to go 11-11. Maybe he thinks that Snow is going to 12 Nexus, and 11-11 can be good versus that if you can get the Vulture in. He's also gotten good spawns where if he wants to go Starport, he's going to have a lot of territory that he can just, you know, drop in there and run around with. Unfortunately for both players, they're going to find each other last, most likely. Snow, I think, actually did queue up a Zealot, so he is going to put on some pressure. Maybe he is thinking, like I was thinking, that, hey, Fast Command Center could be a real thing on here. I better do something to, you know, to kind of pressure Barracks. But it's not going to be the case this time as the factory comes down. It's not exactly the fastest 11 gas factory I've ever seen, but still pretty quick. And there's the first Zealot on the move right now. Ooh, interception, and he gets away. Okay, so for the first time, I think in a few games, we're going to see that the SCV might actually be able to scout something. First Zealot on the move, and it is going to be headed down to the bottom left, as Snow does not find Barracks at bottom right either. Now what does Barracks really need to do here? As soon as he sees this Zealot, he needs to build another depot. 4 Marines, Vulture. That's how you counter this. There's the third one. So far, no SimCity. Oh, he did go. Okay, so we're going to do like an FD? He sees the Zealot and backs off. All right, that's great. And Wait a minute. Was that a... I don't think you can have enough money for 4 Marines and a command center. Is that a starport or a second factory? Yeah, I knew it. I'm like sitting here like, dude, how do these pro gamers always have more money than me? So it's going to be a 1-base starport. I ain't gonna lie. I don't think I've seen this since like 2001. I really don't know how this is going to play out. Now, Snow, this is crazy. I was talking about this. I mentioned it at the beginning that I really did think that we're going to see like Proxy Robo and stuff. But he saw that this guy's not gasless expanding. He saw that this guy's sitting in his main, and he's still going for the Proxy Robo with the gate. So this is going to be an elevator. And funny enough, you would think that Starport would be great versus this. But the thing is I think that this is a Vulture drop. And you know what doesn't beat Dragoons? Vultures, especially if they're not in your base to help. So this is already going to be pretty rough, in my opinion. However, there are a lot of Marines. So maybe with all the Marines and the tank, he can keep the drop out of his base. I didn't see a support bay anywhere, so I really do think it's just an elevator. This is an interesting build. Well, he shows the mine, he shows that he has mines, and he shows that he's playing defensively. But I can tell you that Snow is probably thinking like, yes, build more vultures. They're useless versus goons. I'm surprised there's no bunker. I mean, at any moment, Snow could just send that zealot in there and trigger the mine. And if Barracks is not paying attention, he could potentially lose everything. Okay, so we're going to see a 2 vulture drop. This is so weird, man. Okay, I guess if you go with just 2, okay, or 3, at least it's not like a huge commitment, but he needs to have some stuff. Yeah, here we go. Here comes the elevator. And Barracks needs to get in his main. If the elevator goes unspotted, he's in trouble. Oh my gosh, this is going to do so much damage. This is crazy. Oh, and the goon pops. Okay, at least the goon pops out, so he's going to be able to defend somewhat, but he doesn't notice. He's too focused on the elevator. He's probably like, where the hell did this come from? Is there a proxy factory in my base? But look, Snow's elevatoring into the main. He's already gotten 3 units in there. Luckily for Barracks, he has a lot of Marines, but once the Reaver comes out, there's no siege. He needs a Wraith and he needs siege mode. It's just a single tank. That's the problem, is it being a single tank. Oh, focus fire. Oh, the Marine DPS is so big. There's still no Reaver, man. The Reaver is so late. He's gonna hold this. Well, I think he's gonna hold this. He needs a Wraith ASAP. Is that the Reaver? Please be a Reaver. Oh, okay. This game's about to get wild because Vulture has no damage. Okay, I actually think Barracks might be dead. The Vulture is not enough. The Wraith is not enough because the Wraith is going to die to the goons. He needs to bait him into the mine. But I think those are like full health goons. At least Barracks can mine his natural, but that Wraith has already taken 2 shots. Okay, well, he can kind of mine his natural. Wow. What? How did that hit? Just Snow things. Well, unfortunately, the strategy was, the strategy was perfect for Barracks, but unfortunately, too many vultures, not enough siege mode, and he's gonna die here. He's not mining. He has a lifted factory, man. You're dead. He knows he's dead. He's got his hand off the keyboard. GG. Okay, we are off to the races. So Snow clearly heard me at the beginning that, we got to be aggressive versus this guy. We got to, throw off his build. But Barracks has surprised me with the starport. So maybe he does have a lot of, special strategies planned, kind of like what Sharp had last season versus Hero. Sharp did what did they play? Like 5 games, and I think literally every game was a different build. So all of a sudden, if Snow has been preparing like these crazy all-ins, he's got to be a little bit worried that Barracks may be doing builds like this or proxy factories. I think he got a little bit lucky that Barracks literally put every single mine at the natural. If there were more mines set up in the main, like what Terrans do in the mid game with normal openers, You know, we easily could have seen goons just walk into their death. Potentially the first tank doesn't get picked off. Potentially the tank gets repaired, and then, you know, all of a sudden it's just a Reaver isolated by itself versus a tank. So now I'm curious what Barracks has prepared here for Minstrel, because we already have seen, for example, Royal last week go the 6 racks into 2-fact. You know, I don't necessarily think that's a build versus Protoss, but we also saw a 2-fact on Dominator from Speed. Okay, so in the bottom right, we do have Barracks. And in the top left, we do have Snow. Well, this is a game where I think if you, like, proxy gate and you, like, really just dismantle Barracks, I think the confidence just goes down the gutter. So if I'm Snow here, I'm doing something like that. But it looks like it's not going to be a forward pylon anywhere. No early scout. Now, Barracks here, now that he's gone for the funky build, and it got kind of just completely countered by the funky build from Snow, do you just try and go back to normal play? Whoa, wait a minute. What's this SCV doing? Is he walling in? Is this the Nyoken wall? I heard that you can't do this on the ladder. I heard that walling, it's not a thing. Well, what will this mean, though? Because Snow at some point is obviously going to scout this. I think this is a full wall also, so he can't get in. Wait a minute. Is this CC first? No. Okay, I guess there is a gap at the top, so he's got that SCV pulled off to make sure that the probe doesn't get in. But this is one of the few times where the Protoss player is actually not going for a fast scout. And you can see that Barracks is confused. It's like, wait a minute, 2-player map, you didn't send it? So he's scouting around like there must be proxy gates somewhere, but there actually isn't. And with Barracks not getting gas stolen, he's not just going to turn this into a gasless expand. So I feel like this is another good opener for Barracks, even though he lost last game. CV gonna come in here. I think he's probably surprised that, hey, you didn't gas steal and then you didn't go 12 Nexus. This is weird. Is that only 2 on gas? Okay, there is 3 on gas. I thought No had already pulled off of gas for whatever reason. And Barracks, I think Barracks has done the safe version of this. He's got another depot. He's got Marines coming. And there's still no command center. So yeah, he's playing very cautious, and it was the correct read because it ended up being a Zealot first here. Now the SCV, yeah, see ya. That's see you later. And now Snow can go for something weird if he wants. I don't think I saw another building get put down yet. It's just going to be range. So he's going to have a lot of pressure onto... Whoa, wait a minute. Barracks? He's already got his gas coming. Still no gasless. Okay, this is a weird way to do it. Zealot pokes in, and he's going to see the command center, but it's at a weird timing. I'm not sure exactly what Snow is thinking. He may think that, okay, this guy actually went factory first, cancels his range because he can't really do damage, but he really could have. And instead, he's going to rush a robo. Alright, so 330 robo. That is about 30 seconds faster than the normal timing. This is going to be real fast. Oh, did he really not see the command center at first? Okay. Obviously the secondary scout picks it up. But the play here for Barracks is, one, he needs to get this SCV in. He needs to see how fast this Rolo is. And 2, this needs to be 1 fact eBay or 1 fact armory, 2nd factory, because there's no other way to stop a Snow Reaver. We've all seen it. We saw it last season, Snow versus Speed. If you don't have turrets in time, and there's even a small gap, you're mega dead. And that Zealot preventing the SCV from getting in, I think Barracks is in real trouble here. Hopefully it's not Mass Vulture, which players like Sharp likes to do, because if it is, we're going to see a similar scenario to last game where, yes, you've got units, none of them are strong versus the Reaver, and the Reaver probably just kills everything. I love how he knows that it was a fast command center, so he doesn't go Observer. No need for that. He's just going to put on massive pressure here. There's still no eBay, by the way. There's not even an upgrade going down in... Okay, there we go. eBay. Okay, 5-minute eBay. So, this should be in time. eBay is one of the fastest buildings to build for Terran, and turrets are also quick. Probe said, "You're not getting in, sir." At this point, it's kind of, kind of weird to see no Dragoons. So I think Barracks needs to either suspect that it was fast Reaver, DT drop, or 2-base carrier. But it can't be 2-base carrier because there's no natural gas. So it only leaves 2 options. So either one, he needs to have turrets everywhere, but there's still no turrets. Instead, he's built a 3rd factory. I am really, really questioning this. He needs the turrets now, man. Okay, there's one. Okay, there we go. Does he have siege though? If there's no siege, the Reaver's gonna micro forever. Oh, and he's still got 2 goons. Like he can elevator in with the Zealot and Reaver, and then elevator in the goons second. And there's also no turrets at the bottom side of the base. Also no turret at the top side of the base. At least the rally point looks like it's in the main. And I don't think he has an armory either. Okay, turret. Okay, that was an immediate reaction. Maybe this will not actually do very much. Psych. Speed kicks in and we're in the main, man. And there is no turret. Well, that didn't get as much damage as I thought. That's gonna bug out. But now you get to deal with this, which is, deal with the Snow Reaver. Oh, that might bug out. No, it won't. That was the Snow Reaver. It doesn't bug out. Ever. Actually, Snow is kind of hot pick-upping his SCVs or his Reaver quite quickly. They're not exactly getting off the best shots. So this was overall a decent hold from Barracks. But again, you got to look at the supply. It's, it was pretty close. It was like 48 to 44 a minute ago. Now all of a sudden it's 70 to 46. Barracks has lost a lot of mining time just transferring his workers. And, this was another big type of eco timing type of build. Not necessarily gasless, but almost gasless, fast 3 factories. And Snow did exactly what I said in the beginning of the cast, is throw off the build order. Now Barracks doesn't have good econ to flood factories. I think he's probably gonna do what Speed tried to do versus Snow and Minstrel, which is go 3 fact, mass tank, and then rallied vultures. But I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really like that build at all. I think that the tank count was really high, but the problem for me is, where's the reinforcements? Speed in that game actually had money to put down factories. Barracks doesn't have money to put down factories. There's no chance of it being 10 tanks with 5 factory rallied vulture. That's just not gonna happen. So Barracks at this point, my opinion, he's in a pretty rough spot. I love the pylons all over the map to make sure that, there's no vulture run-bys or starport or anything. But I really do think Snow could go carriers at this point if he wants. I think he's probably just going to play it safe, go mass gate, storm, and try and just overrun. It could also be Shuttle Man too. I think he loaded up a 2nd shuttle. Yeah, you can see that definitely Snow not having to deal with the insane multitask from Speed is, he's now able to get up all these pylons everywhere, be able to see when Terran moves out. This is a completely different style than what Speed was playing, and you can see Snow's obviously way more comfortable versus this. Okay, now, I don't know about this attack. Meaning Snow. I thought he was going to actually try and jump on that. Well, this is a lot of stuff. Supplies are closer than I thought. But still, the question is how do you get past the Reaver? And it's still just 3 factory. The Goons are in a nice position to prevent reinforcements also. Yeah, these Vultures are all gonna... Whoa! I thought these Vultures were all gonna die, but instead it looks like maybe the Goons will get caught? No, they're too mobile. They do take a couple of pot shots, but in the end, not very much. 40 supply lead, man. And of course, the hot pickup. So, the Reaver control in the main didn't look the greatest. Of course, it did good damage, but now the Reaver control really looks fantastic. And this is exactly what Snow needs to be doing, which is get gates, get Citadel, and run this guy over. It's, what, 8 gate versus still 3? Barracks is mega all in with this. He has to win with this push, but as soon as the Zealots come out, I think it's going to be lights out. It may even be lights out here with just the Zealot bombs. There goes one tank. And again, look at the Goon positioning. He just sees a Vulture run out, instantly moves to kill it. He ends up losing a Reaver, but there's another Reaver, so I don't even think that matters. Okay, we may finally see these Goons. No, how does that not get taken down? There's no way. How? He should have lost everything. Instead, he only loses half. There's not enough Terran. I can... Oh, no. He sieged up. Goodbye, 3 tanks. He's got a random 4. This may just trigger the GG. It would be different if he had like 6 factories, but because he doesn't... Okay, it's not going to trigger it just yet, but this is all Snow has to do, is just defend, defend, defend. He's up 45 supply now. He doesn't have a 4th base because he doesn't need one. He's just going to sit on his 3 base, and he intercepts this too. This is why it was so surprising to me when we saw Speed get Vulture damage, because look at the defense, like immaculate movement from Snow all the time. Oh no! Goodbye. Yeah, what do you do as Barracks? I think what you do as Barracks is you accept that this game's over. You try and just, you know, make Protoss really work for it. But you accept that this game is done and come in with a good mindset with game 3. Because there's no chance that Barracks can recover this. He's just down too much supply. He's down too much production. Down tech. He's got his starport coming, which means that he's probably going into 1-1 upgrade, so there's not going to be 2-1 anytime soon. There's not going to be, you know, +3 anytime soon. And you really need to have big econ or big upgrades versus what's going to be arbiters. And Barracks really doesn't have either of them. Well, I think it's arbiters. It's double Stargate, though. I have a feeling that this could be carriers again. Yeah, there's just there's no angle. Where can you attack? You can't attack bottom left. You can't attack top left. You can't attack through the center. We've already saw that get denied. Barracks is going to try and expand, but Snow, he's going to be max soon. He still has his Reavers. There's no Storm, so I guess there's no threat of the SCVs really dying. I think Barracks is doing all that he really can do, which is double expand. You got to go for a risky move here. You know it's going to get scouted, but what else can you do? You can't just play 3 base versus 3 base. That's not going to work. Yeah, there's the canceled command center, and it is going to be carriers. All right, well, I mean, this is another situation where Snow is going every single tech. But this is a little different in the sense that he's already maxed. And, you know, Barracks obviously can't do anything. He can't attack. His eco is too poor. His gas income is quite poor. Well, apparently you don't need Storm here. You just go Reavers, and they kill that also. Shuttle Bomb. I guarantee you, if it was anybody else firing those shots from the very back of the mineral line, they would have somehow bugged out on the minerals and not gotten any connections. But because it's snow, they connect. And there's the GG. I mean, really nothing that Barracks could do. It was just too much damage with the initial Reaver. But I will say this. Snow is clearly came to play. He's not screwing around today. I think, like I said, speed exposed him with the multitask, and you can see that the defense is way better, like completely different from the last series. So Snow already up 2-0. I talked about it in the beginning. I really do think that Barracks needed to get off to a good start in the series, because now game 3 is Pantheon. It is his pick, but my experience on Pantheon has not been the same as it has been on Radion and Kickback. I think this is a really tough map, especially pushing up into high ground, but it does have like completely open centers. So I guess in that sense, you know, you avoid having to deal with Reaver on high ground. So maybe that's the logic there. But at the same time, Radion has the same scenario, right? You have open center, and I guess I just don't understand why not pick Radion, especially since Barracks has already won like the past 2 or 3 games that we've seen him play at TVP on there. Now, I don't know why we're going back into game 1. We already know how this went. This was an amazing build order. This was fantastic. But all the mines were in the natural. Of course, it didn't help that the SCV never actually got to see the probe go back, because obviously we know that the probe never went back and it just proxied, and it's just completely blindsided Barracks. But this is what I was talking about. Imagine if there was like a couple mines by the Barracks. The Zealots would have gotten taken down pretty much immediately. Then the Goons wouldn't have been able to, you know, run around like this and buy time. But once the Reaver comes out, you can see why one base dropship is not exactly the strongest build. It's because builds like this, you don't have anything to deal with Goon and Reaver. I mean, it's 3 units, and it's going to kill everything. So I think we're going to be going into a break. We'll see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going into a break, and then we'll be back with game 3 and 4 most likely. Oh, we're not. We're going into the Live Mobile ad. But because I am solo casting, I'm just going to put up the StarCastTV screen anyways, and I'll see you guys in a few minutes. All right, we are back. We're going to be going into game 3, which will be Pantheon. Snow is up 2-0 in the series. Ain't gonna lie, he looks like he's in top shape right now in Barracks. Well, what does he need to do now? Funky build in game 1. Kind of a funky game in game 2, you know, in the build order, I mean, you know, going for the gasless, but it ended up being like 3 Marines, bunker gas, and then command center. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen that before. And at this point, you know, I think it's pretty obvious what Barracks needs to do in game 3, which is he needs to get away with something crazy on Pantheon like gasless. So if I'm Snow here, I'm going 12 Nexus, 12 Nexus, 12 Nexus. It's also because he's up 2-0. He can go for something like 12 Nexus, and then Barracks is like in a weird predicament, right? Where if he scouts it, right, what's he going to do? Is he going to pull for it? If he pulls for it and it fails, all of a sudden he's going to be down 3-0, right? If you open gasless versus it, you can be in a playable position, but it's still going to be a rough opener, right? Because 12 Nexus is, in my opinion, a little bit stronger. So I think for sure if I'm Snow here, I'm going 12 Nexus. So the question then becomes, do you gasless try and play your style as Barracks? You know, try and hit the big time macro? Or do you maybe risk it all and go for BBS? If you BBS, though, once again, you're probably going to end up losing because it's just such a hard build to make work. But it's very strong versus 12 Nexus, of course, but versus anything else, it's going to be pretty rough. But Pantheon is one of those maps that you can be able to build in the center. And I don't think we've seen a BBS the entire season. So, like, it would be pretty crazy to pull it out now. And looks like we are ready. So we're going to be getting into game 3 now. If Snow wins here, you got to really like his chances of making it out. Okay, so in the top right, he desperately needs a win here. It's Barracks. And in the top left, I really think he can do whatever the hell he wants in this match. It's going to be Snow. I would love to see the SCVs get sent to the middle, but the fact that he's already screen hotkeyed his natural signals to me that that's not going to be the case. Yeah, so now it's not going to be BBS, but I still have hope that this could be 12 Nexus for Snow. We could go Command Center first. We saw JYJ do that a couple seasons ago on Apocalypse. It was even versus a Zealot first build, and he still was able to get the Command Center up, which was unbelievable. But based on what I saw in game 2, where Barracks ended up building, you know, all those Marines in bunkers before getting his Command Center, I think the chances of it being 14 CC is basically 0% chance. We've got a believer for Barracks right there. He believes in the loss reverse sweep. I don't know about that, man. It's Snow. Has anybody gone in reverse sweep Snow ever? I am pretty surprised at this opener from Snow. Well, maybe not. If it ends up being... Okay, it's not. I was going to say, if it ends up being Zealot Nexus, not that surprised, but it ends up just being a normal opener. Barracks, on the other hand, I think this was 12 gas. And Snow not going to find Barracks first. Meanwhile, Barracks got lucky here. He did get the first scout off. And he will be able to see exactly what's going on. Now, if you're Snow here, Pantheon also has a lot of areas where you can proxy, specifically mid-right. That could be another place where he builds a gateway and a robo and just immediately elevators into the main. Also with that type of robo placement, you know, you can get to the natural pretty quickly. However, for Terran to go from the natural to the main, you got to go up that ramp, back into your main, then down to the bottom side. So, you know, even though we've already seen Gate Robo Proxy on one base, I think this could be another scenario where that could be good. Now, look at this. Is this going to be a 2-fact? Proxy 2-fact? Do it. He sees that there's no range. Still no range. This, okay. Now he shows range. Is he going to go for the factory now that he sees... I mean, he has to. He's already committed the SCV. That would be so much lost mining time. Wow, okay. So Barracks has clearly prepared a lot for this. But wait a minute, is that a tech building at the top? It's DT! Oh my gosh, it's a one-base DT! This could not have gone worse for Barracks. 2-fact into DT. He needs massive mine connections, and even then, if they connect, you gotta pray that they don't hit your own units. I don't think that goon was close enough to spot the command center. Either way, those Marines did not do enough damage, and now he knows, hey, you're doing something weird once again. And the problem for him now is the thing that Snow is doing counters all one-base builds. DT beats everything. I don't know what that was about, but every second matters, obviously. Well, if he goes with just vultures, there's a chance that this could work. But if he waits for a tank, or like 2 tanks, well, I guess with the proxy factory, it makes it a little more interesting, right? Because the vulture's already here. Oh, he's floating in. Oh my goodness. Is this... I think the Citadel's gonna have vision. Is it... He sees it, man! No! And he also sees that it's a Citadel. Okay, so all Snow needs to do is just wall in. That's exactly what he did. You can even slightly hear the crowd there just sigh at this. And look at that. And then he completes the wall. Gets the goon in and then completes the wall. This can't go worse. Can it go worse? No. It could. DT's out, man. Okay, well, we'll see. There's the DT. Guess what? You're not getting in. Okay, well, he actually did get in. For now. But I don't think those vultures have mines. Okay, that one does. Okay. Look at that. Wait a minute. What happened? He killed all the goons. He actually killed the DT. He's upset. Snow's not mining. Holy smokes. And these vultures, well, if they continue to run, they can, if he can't get to the mine in the back. Wait a minute. Is Snow dead? Oh, he's got speed now, so he can actually just outrun. This game's over. What happened? How? Oh my goodness. Oh, how did that happen? I think that the first DT that came out, the fact that he didn't hold position on that ramp allowed all the stuff to get in. The goons obviously cleared the vulture in the main, like the one with the proxy factory. If that DT sat on the ramp, just made sure nothing else could get in, this was a free win for Snow. I can't believe that he ended up winning that game. So all of a sudden, it's now 2-1. What's the one game that Barracks has won? It's the one game where he tried to out-multitask Snow and Snow couldn't keep up for whatever reason. That's unreal. Well, now we're going to be going into Game 4. I'm trying to think what Game 4 is. It's Dominator. You know, we already saw Speed play an amazing game versus Snow on this map. Speed ended up still losing, but it was really, really close. What was it, like a 40-minute game? So we'll see if Snow can deal with the shenanigans here, because clearly Barracks is not just going to play normal builds today. I mean, we've now seen 3 weird ones in a row, 2 of them being pretty damn all in, one of them being, you know, kind of just a normal build, but not exactly. And so far, Snowa's had good counters to all of them. I can't believe that the DTs didn't work. But here we go, game 4, 2-1 score. All of a sudden, this could get this could get spicy if Barracks wins here. Okay, so in the top left, we do have Barracks, and in the bottom left, we do have Snow. Well, I was talking about BBS last game. I really thought that that could be a good build. I think you could definitely catch Snow off guard with a BBS here. Just for whatever reason, I have a feeling he may go like 1 gate, no range expansion. I don't really have a good reason why. I just have a thought that that could be the build order. And if that is the build order, BBS would obviously just immediately shut it down. Barracks also has gotten top left, which means that Snow has either spawned mid right or bottom left. So there's like a 50-50 shot that Snow's bottom left. And obviously the only good gas stealing base is if Terran spawned bottom left. So I think that the chances of Protoss scouting really quickly is pretty low also. But none of that really matters because there's not going to be a BBS. There's not going to be a fast scout. And at this point, I don't think you can 12 Nexus. You don't want to risk losing here and tying up the score 2-2. That would all of a sudden be a lot of momentum onto Terran's side. Now Barracks. Okay, he's going to put down Barracks right there. Kind of a weird position. For a second, I thought he was going to put it like the corner of his base. And I was like, wait a minute. This isn't Terran versus Terran. What are we doing? But it's going to be another 11 gas here. And there goes the scout. And this is going to be the same build as last time, which is, of course, the straight cybernetics. There's no overall just playing very normal this series, like at least in terms of initial openers. Nothing really wild. Like no like triple zealot or something insane, you know, kind of like last week where he went 12 Nexus, 3 zealots before getting gas. I didn't even know what the hell I was looking at. I was like, dude, what? I mean, the only way that this could have ever happened is you accidentally didn't build your assimilator. I mean, that build was just crazy to me. It's no good to come in here and just be annoying like he usually is with the probe. And is that a zealot coming out? I don't think it is. It's too fast, isn't it? Oh, it is. Okay. Zealot is on the move. Barracks is still mining gas, isn't he? He's got 2 on gas. He's up to something again. But there's no additional SCV out in the map, so I don't think that... Oh, I think it's Proxy Gate Robo once again. So, like, clearly these maps are good for Gate Robo because Pantheon was good for it, like I was talking about, even though we didn't get to see it. And this one, obviously, also, we've already saw, what was it, YSC versus Light try and make this work. Now, this Zealot has already done a lot of damage. However, do have to point out, why did the probe turn around from the Zealot? It could only mean one thing. You're up to shenanigans. That's it. This looks very weird. This is very suspicious. If I'm Barracks, I'm building Marines non-stop, especially since this SCV came back from the main and saw that there was no Nexus. Okay, so this second factory, I think, is great. Normally, I'm not a fan of 2-fact in general, but hey, it got a victory last game. In this particular scenario, I think you just got to have a lot of stuff. This really looks like he's just expanding. Are there really no more Marines being built? Dude, this looks so obvious. No pro would ever send their probe back. Ever. Now Snow, clearly he wants to make sure that this vulture doesn't scout the natural, which is why you see him go into the middle. Yeah, he's mega all in. Like there's no transition out of this unless it does crippling damage, but the game somehow doesn't get in, doesn't end. He's gonna try and do exactly what he did on Deja Vu. There's the support bay. Vulture's gonna get in, man. No, it didn't. Does he really not suspect that there's a hidden proxy? Oh, now he's gonna see it. Now, Barracks, please. Learn from the first game. Lay mines in your main. Oh, he's just gonna counter. He's just gonna say, okay, you're gonna elevator, but guess what? I'm gonna kill your robo while you do this. I like this. You can defend with mines and then try and take down the well, don't take down the gate. Yeah, take down the pylon. Okay, we're gonna get into a base trade scenario. But the thing is I don't think one gate is gonna... Wait, why is he pulling off? Yes, I realize he's gonna lose a lot of SCVs, but the Reaper's gonna complete, man. There's not enough DPS on that pylon. Oh, he got it. There actually was a starport. I think Barracks is just spending too much money on stuff that's not units. He needed more Marines, not a starport. He could have killed he did kill the pylon, but now the Reaver's gonna still get out eventually because the Robo is not taken down. He ends up cleaning up the attack, but he's lost so much. Now there's a shuttle here which can micro... Oh my gosh. The goon. He's gonna kill everything. Look at supply, 17 to 27. The Reaver, okay, with the mines placed how they are, the Reaver can't get out just yet, but it's still 2 gate versus 2 fact with a... Oh, he got it! Okay. Are we gonna stabilize? That was obviously a huge kill right there. But I don't know if there's enough DPS now. Well... I mean, if Barracks doesn't build any SCVs, like instead just continues to all in, can you support 2 fact and a starport? I think it's possible, I guess. Oh, there we go. Mine's in the main, man. That's what you needed, and he got into the main. How did that happen? Oh, did the Reaver complete? I saw something get out. Maybe it was a goon that got out. Oh, base trade scenario again. There's no answer. Does he have the Wraith? Where's the Wraith? You have the starport, right? Oh, it's not out. Oh my gosh. And he has 1 goon. Yep, he just needs to take care of the goon. Now Barracks isn't mining anymore. Well, Barracks, you need to win with your 3 units you have over here. What is it? 4 units? 1 tank? Couple vultures. The damage is so crazy. Wall him in, man. Build that pylon. Wall in those vultures. Barracks knows. Once again, he got caught trying to do too much here, and he gets punished. Loses his entire eco line. Reaver unloads. I like how the vulture came back like, oh, is there not a Reaver? And Snow's like, surprise, still there. Oh my gosh. That's a little disheartening for Barracks there. If he didn't build the starport and just kept building Marines, I really do think he could have gotten into a base trade scenario where, let's say he drills all of his SCVs towards the 3rd base, right? Like his mineral only. So he saves all his workers. Like, yes, he's not mining anymore, but he kills the proxy gate. He kills the proxy robo. Then, remember, Terran has mines. Terran can lay like a minefield behind. And how is Protoss going to defend with just 1 gate in his main? This is obviously from the observer point of view. Like, I obviously have all of that information. But I think someone like Light may have been able to make that type of play. How did that not die? Yeah, the mine setup was good. Like the initial usage of the mines, dealing with the Zealot and the Goon is great, but it's the exact thing that I was talking about in game one is once the Reaver is here, you can't just have mines. You have to have like real units, which is really just tanks. So now Barracks is stuck in a really rough position. He's down 3-1. He's gone for weird builds 3 out of the 4 games. It seems too obvious to just play a normal game at this point. But we'll see. Our next map is going to be Radion, but we're going into a break, and then we'll be back with potentially the final game of the day. All right, we are back, and this is match point for Snow. 1 game away from making it into the round of 4 and getting that seed into the next season. But we are getting into the maps that I think are especially deadly for Barracks. He's had high success on Radion. Then the map after that is Kickback, which I think really fits his style. But the problem is he hasn't really been playing his style today. Like, he's had some good builds, and I think he's had opportunities to win. But clearly Snow has prepared to, first off, counter his normal style. You know, I even mentioned it in the beginning. I thought we were going to see some Proxy Robos, which is great versus Gasless. But then all of these weird build orders that Barracks has been doing are also being countered by the Proxy Robo. So at this point, it's like, well, what do you do as Barracks? I think really the best opener here is clearly just go 12 gas, 1 factory, eBay. And if this guy goes Proxy Robo again, you're going to be up a base. You're going to have a solid opener versus it. If you can scout it, you can go siege. And you're not all of a sudden in this weird micro battle versus the best micro player on the planet. And we are ready with game 5. So this is it, Barracks fans. He needs your energy. Otherwise, he's going to be eliminated. And Snow fans, I'm sure you're excited to see potentially a Protoss making it into the round of 4 right here. Let's get into Radion. Okay, so in the top left, we do have Barracks. And in the top right, we do have Snow. So we still have not seen a single 12 Nexus. I still think this is a good time to go for it. You can afford to throw a game. You know, I still think Terran is going to be strong on Kickback, but Protoss is also good there. And then you've got Monty Hall, which Terrans have actually been doing very well on, but I still think Protoss has good shots on both of those maps, so I think you can afford to risk the 12 Nexus here. So Pylon is being put basically in the same position that we've seen all day long, which is sort of near the Nexus, sort of close to the mineral line. I have a feeling that this is going to be just the same typical gate gas cyber that we've been seeing all day long. Oh, did he queue up probes? Finally, the legendary 12 Nexus. However, not cross spawn. Weird how when there's a pro match, it's not cross spawn, right? I've heard it only happens to certain streamers when they're streaming their ladder games, that it ends up being cross spawn Nexus first. And there we go, 12 Nexus. Now will Barracks scout horizontally? I think we've seen consistently Terran players actually going horizontal, and he will find it first. Okay, so this is the dream scenario. Scout it first. You haven't, you know, pulled off of gas yet. Protoss is going to have to go 2-gate here. You could pull SCVs. You could 2-fact, I guess. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of 2-fact, but if this guy gets greedy, maybe you 2-fact. You could just build a single vulture with mines, or just no mines. Well, I can tell you this, the SCV needs to survive. That's one thing. If you don't have anything to drill on, all of a sudden, we're in big time trouble. Okay, so this was a 12 gas, 232 factory timing. I don't know, man. That's kind of a slow 12 factory opener. And every second clearly matters with a 12 Nexus. SCV can't die, man. He can't fall. He's dead. Well, nothing to drill. He's still continuing to mine gas. Is it a 2-fact? It's not. Wait, what? don't know what this is. Is he just sending the another SCV to get vision again? Okay, he takes down the probe, and he's only shown four Marines. Okay, now he's pulling. Now that he's got some vision, he's now... he actually didn't get onto the mineral line. Oh my gosh, the micro is so good, preventing the drill. Yeah, he knows, like, why did you send another SCV? This has to be a pull. But he didn't drill, so the SCVs are bucking out on the units. He needs a battery. But at this point, really, he can just sack his natural. I think. I think he can just sack the natural, hold his ramp, and be fine. Okay, there's a battery. SCVs are in a really good position in the front. Like, they're really... All of a sudden, this wall does not look good. There's also nothing for the probes to drill on. Could this work? That's a lot of batteries. He hasn't done any damage to the battery, though, so it's going to complete. But there's... He needs to get rid of the battery, man. The second goon's about to be out. There's not that many SCVs here. Well, what if he kills the gate? Okay, there's a second gate in the main also. There's a lot of DPS for Terran, but he built a lot of Vultures before getting the add-on, so there's no mines anytime soon. There's, like, no rally tank. The goons are really not doing very much. Like, they're softening up the SCV. Okay, that Marine dies. Wow. Battery is just so crazy. It's full. Those goons are still full health. Almost full health. That goon's gonna die, but now it's way too much. Way too many goons. Okay, takes down the gateway, but actually, that probably helps Snow. Because now he can get units out. And this was not what Barracks was looking for. All Snow has to do is... Okay, well, there's mines. But he has range. He gets into the main. Does he have a Zealot left over? Okay, he clears that. Okay. Okay, he gets into the mineral line. There's also a Vulture at the natural. It's getting weird again. Barracks is, like, pretty close in supply. Obviously, he's down a command center, so he needs to get, you know, a lot of damage done here. And I would say he's done a pretty good job. Okay, now that Vulture gets taken down. This Vulture is also going to be denied. Okay, he really needs to somehow drag that mine into the probes. That's not going to happen. And back in Barracks main, I still see no command center, like no starport, no all-in follow-up. Now he's going to build a command center. But this has been held. Oh, he just showed he went speed also, so he really committed to this. Now he's going to try and transition. Alright, well, what do you do now as Terran? How do you get back into this game with one fact versus a Protoss that has 3-gate, Observer? I think all he can do is send an SCV and build a third base. What's that? Is that a starport? It can't be a factory. It must be a starport in the center. I think that's another decent option here, because you obviously have to get damage done. Or you have to scale your econ crazily with like a hidden base. Maybe the hidden base is too obvious, so he's going to try and just go for a delayed starport here, you know, try and catch Snow off guard, because at this point, you know, Snow realizes he is held, right? So the only way he's going to lose is if the drop comes in, like, right now, right? So maybe if it comes in, like, a minute from now, Snow won't be expecting it and will potentially have his Dragoons out of position. Yeah, it is going to be the starport. eBay. But the support base already done, man. Uh-oh, I heard something load up already. I think that was the double Zealot being loaded up. And I can see that the shuttle's going back towards the robotics. So Reaver's going to be on the prowl in just a moment. Now, if he can get this dropship out right now, we could get into, you know, a micro battle. Reaver versus tank and Wraith, maybe. Or not a Wraith, that's going to be too slow. But Reaver versus tank and turrets. Meanwhile, Vultures, versus Probes, potentially. That's what he really wants. Oh, if he can snipe. The problem is if he goes and snipes this Probe, I think it draws all the goons back. Oh, wow, he doesn't even have a bunker. He doesn't have siege. He doesn't have mines. This is going to be an A move. A move, boys. And this is all he can do. He needs to kill every single probe here. Immediate pull. And goons are already done. So this is going to be a dead command center. Reaver probably going to kill all these tanks. Oh my gosh. Yep, see ya. And it looks like the drop was already cleaned up. There's like just a couple of vultures just running around. Like, if you look at the mini-map, the vultures can't get past the ramp. Okay, see you tanks, and that's going to be a 4-1 for Snow. GG comes out. And Snow, he's looking as deadly as I remember him from last season. Protoss versus Terran, he's just such a killer in it. And even though I really did like Barracks' builds today, Snow just had the perfect counter. All the gate robo openers just shut down all of his all-ins. And, as I was saying, it was probably going to shut down any gasless play. I really did enjoy the series, and I think Barracks played pretty well, but I really wish that we could have seen even just one game of his normal play. Because, getting here, he was steamrolling Protosses. It wasn't even close. He made Bisu look like a noob. Like, he just crushed him. Like, absolute massacre. And, I've been doing StarCastTV Star League, and StarCastTV Star League, he, was crushing best also. So it's not like he couldn't beat Snow here by just playing a normal opener. I'm surprised that there were so many all-ins from Barracks. Like, out of the 5 games, we saw 3 all-ins, right? Like, I could have been, down with seeing, 1 or 2. Making Snow think, hey, look at this, I'm all-inning, you better be prepared today. But when 3 out of the 5 were all-ins, it really felt like we didn't actually get to see Barracks play any of the builds that actually got him into the round of 8. So that's, kind of a bit of a disappointment. But hey, you got to give props to Snow. He clearly prepared. And, I mentioned it in the beginning that I'm pretty much I said that after the Speed series where Snow kind of got exploited, I had a feeling that he was going to really, really bring it today. And he clearly did. Like, you could tell that he was not effing around. Like, hey, you're going to gasless? I'm going to gate robo. Oh, you're going to one base? Well, I'm going to DT. Oh, you're going to, let Dominator get through early on in the map pool? I'm going to, go for the gate robo again and just, really take advantage of the maps. Not that you can veto. I forgot you can't veto anymore because this was best of 7. In previous seasons, the round of 8 was best of 5, so you could actually veto stuff. But yeah. So now we've got the interview with Snow. Obviously, there were a lot of Snow fans in the crowd. I'm sure those are probably the students. Well, I imagine that they're doing the university still, so probably a lot of Protoss students there in the crowd rooting for him. Really happy for Snow because, 1, it gets us a Protoss into the round of 4. 2, Snow's my favorite Protoss player. And 3, he really did look much better than he did in the round of 16. And this also sets us up for the potential, if Light takes down Sulky, we're going to have one of the most epic PVTs we could have asked for. In StarCastTV Season 1, we saw Snow versus Light maybe in the round of 4. Can't remember exactly who he faced in the finals. But I can tell you, in that season, it didn't matter who the Terran was. Snow literally made every single Terran look like they were F rank. I think he went 13-1. Surprisingly, the only Terran that won a game against him was Sock. And the only time he won was when he went gasless, 4-minute armory, and had this insane 217 base timing. All the other games, Snow just completely blasted him. Completely blasted the Terrans. If Light ends up losing, that gets us Sulky, which will be a rematch from semifinals last season, where the score was 4-2, and we had one of the most epic games on Blitz, right? Basically a mined out map. What was it, 40 minutes long? We saw Reavers hold the line forever. Insane games there. So that would also be exciting. And then, if Snow ends up beating sulky, it'd be the first time he's made it into the finals in a long time. And if sulky or Light both make it in, sulky could three-peat, or Light, of course, could go for a shot at getting his second title. So really loving how this side of the bracket is shaping up. Jinjin recently released a video on Team Liquid, saying that Snow was really happy for his draw, getting Barracks in the first match of the round of 8, but he quickly stopped smiling and laughing about the draw when he saw that Light and sulky were at the bottom side of the bracket. So I'm curious, I imagine he probably wants Light, but because of how strong Light is, I wonder if he actually wants a rematch versus sulky. Even though we saw in the graphic that Snow's worst matchup is PVZ, he may have the same mentality as Speed had in the earlier rounds, right? Where Speed said, I want to be in Snow's group. I want to get revenge for last season. So maybe Snow, for whatever reason, wants to get sulky here. I can't imagine wanting to play a PVZ, but hey, you never know. Yeah, I think you guys are right in the chat that probably the most likely scenario for Snow to make it to the finals is you get Light. But Light is just so good at TVP, and he's one of the only players that plays for late game. But in my opinion, I don't think you want to play for late game against Snow, because Snow, if he knows that, hey, it's going to go late game, well, he's not going to screw around with shuttles for 40 minutes long. He'll just go carriers. He'll just kill you with carriers. And a lot of these maps, in my opinion, are great for carriers. Like Pantheon, even though the center is pretty wide open, there's a lot of ramps and terrain on the edges that Protoss can exploit. Radion, also good map for that. Deja Vu, same thing. Monty Hall, I don't think you'll probably see carriers on Monty Hall because a lot of the Terrans play quite aggressive there with drops and insane multitask. But all the other maps seem pretty good for carriers except for maybe Dominator. So, if you're going to try and play a split map game, I guess that would be the one map I would try and split map on. Kickback also, you're not going to split map there. You're going to do a timing. So, well, Snow must have said something funny as a lot of the crowd reacted to whatever he said, and it looks like interview's over. So congratulations to Snow. He's going to be our first one into the round of 4, and critically for him, he gets that seed, which means he can avoid, the qualifiers. And we've already seen a lot of pros not be able to make it through the qualifiers. We saw in the graphic earlier, Barracks didn't make it through in one of the previous seasons. Queen didn't make it through in one of the previous seasons. There's been the qualifiers have all of a sudden gotten really tough. A lot of amateurs are, doing a lot of work. In fact, players like Mihu DeWalt, even though they ended up not winning, not going very far in the tournament, like they also have gotten wins in the actual ASL qualifiers. We're going to look at how the rundown went today. Of course, we had back-to-back wins, then a win on Pantheon, which I think Snow could have even won there. And then another back-to-back win on Dominator and Radion. I think if Barracks had won on Dominator, where, if he could have killed that freaking gateway in Robo, maybe momentum could have swung onto his side. Maybe we wouldn't have seen the same result on Radion. And then Kickback, I think, is a good map for Terran versus Protoss pre-20 minutes. But never got there, and we're going to get a look at our round of 8 bracket. Sulky versus Light is obviously the match of the tournament, but we don't have weak matches in the bottom side. We've got Rain versus Rush, and then Hero versus Sharp. Tomorrow's map lineup is going to be Radion, Pantheon, Kickback, Deja Vu, Dominator, Minstrel, and Monty Hall. Let me take a second to see, is there any map that I'm kind of surprised that got through? We got to keep in mind that the player on the left gets the picks 1, 3, and 5, and Light gets the picks 2, 4, and 6. So do I like these picks? I think these are pretty much as expected. Maybe I would have switched Pantheon and Deja Vu, but I did see a recent game of Light versus Sulky on Pantheon where he ended up doing like a mech switch, went split map, and absolutely dominated Sulky. Like, he had so much money, but at the same time, Pantheon can be one of those maps where, because there's so much money, if you don't keep Zerg in check, I can see you get run over if you try and play a mech switch. So, in my opinion, I think maybe Deja Vu switch with Pantheon could have been better. But, you know, that's like a minor thing. Overall, I think these maps are really good. Again, the most interesting map to me is number 3, Kickback. And the reason I say that is because I've mentioned it the entire tournament. I really do think Wraiths are good on Kickback. It will keep Zerg in check, you know, with the harassment. If you do some type of low econ Wraith play with the 10-10-10, all of a sudden you can potentially turn it into a one-base play. You know, you can do a lot of damage to the Overlords. You can obviously fight the Mutas 1v1, like, once it gets to that point. And if Zerg ends up going Hydraless, you know, Hydras don't have the greatest range versus Wraith. Also, the minerals are hard to defend. So I'm still waiting for our Wraith game on there, and I think Light is one of the few players that can actually pull it out. So actually, for me, tomorrow, Game 3 is going to be the map of the day. But we are wrapping up today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, since I am solo casting, I'm just going to cut it off here instead of trying to fill time. And I will see you tomorrow with Group B.